guys want more pizza? It's over there.
Alright, it's always hard to follow along. We'll try to keep you awake here. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about some of these animals and ID and but let's start out. We've got a bunch of skulls here. You can tell a lot from the skull. What are some things can I tell from the skull? It's a what? Yeah, you can. Right. All these are adults. We're going to assume all these are adults. Right, carnivore, you can tell what they eat. What else can you tell? What can I tell from the skull? I can tell what species it is. Yeah. But what else? If I don't know what species it is, I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm looking at it, what can I tell? I can tell kind of what he eats because of his teeth, right? How can I tell that? I got these canine teeth. Okay, so what are those for? And grabbing stuff, ripping flesh and stuff. So we know we're dealing with a carnivore, right? Yeah. We're dealing with something that likes to catch other animals and has to grab them. And then once he grabs them, has to tear them up so he can eat them. All right. So what else can I tell from this? Anybody got any ideas? How about his sense of smell? What do you think I can tell about his sense of smell? Well, it's not, in the animal kingdom, it's not the greatest. See how there's nose that come out here? It's relatively small. This area called the snout, or the rostrum, is short comparatively. Okay. So you've got a small nasal passage and it's short, so it tells me he doesn't have the greatest sense of smell. Look at the way his eyes are facing. What direction are his eyes facing? Kind of outward and forward a little bit. They look kind of sideways, but compare it to this one. Compare it to that one. They look straight on what direction his eyes are. And more straight forward, right? What about this guy's eyes? To the sides. See how this one's eyes are kind of straight forward? This guy's looking to the side. So, we already established he's a carnivore because of his teeth. We also know he's probably a carnivore, he's a predator because of the way his eyes are facing. When eyes face forward like a human, that's called binocular vision. You've got two eyes that can focus forward. It gives you better depth perception. So if he's got to chase something and grab it, that binocular vision, that depth perception helps him out a lot. This guy's got eyes facing side, so that tells us he's not trying to catch something, he's trying to avoid being caught. He's looking to the side, behind him, around all the time, so he doesn't get caught by this guy. All right, this is probably, of the animals I have up here, probably the purest carnivore. This is a bobcat skull. This one is just a classic prey species, this is a rabbit skull. Okay? So, when we look at the teeth on a carnivore, and then of course we've got the animals in the middle, which are what? Omnivores. We've got rabbits, a herbivore, we've got a carnivore, and we've got the guys in the middle are a omnivore. So let's look at some teeth real quick. He's got these big fangs, right? His canines. Okay, you see those? That's obvious what that is. Those are canines. But when you look in the back, these teeth are all very sharp. They're not flattened. They're all very sharp. Okay. These teeth in the back, if I operate his jaw, you'll see how they almost operate like a pair of scissors. They're not coming down on top of each other. They're doing like that. Kind of sideways. See that? Like that? Those teeth are called carnassials. Those are his upper premolar, last premolar, and first molar on the bottom, called carnassials. And they're kind of teeth that are made for shearing, just like scissors, they shear flesh. This front teeth rabbit, his back teeth shear. In contrast, we look at our rabbit, those teeth just meet, they come down one on top of the other. See, there's nothing for cutting or tearing or anything else. So these flat teeth just come down like that. Okay? And then of course we got the guy in the middle, who's our kind of a classic omnivore, which is a raccoon. Okay? He's got canines, so they do eat some meat, you know that. He's got some sharp teeth, but if you look at the back of these molars, the molars back here on the top, they're very flattened out, and they enable him to eat a lot of different, a wide variety of foods. See how those are kind of flattened out, the bobcat, pointed teeth. So that's our. So those are kind of, even though some of these animals are in the order of carnivore, you have some carnivores that are really more opportunistic and more omnivore, eat anything they can find. We'll talk about something else in a minute. But you can tell a lot from a skull. One other thing you can tell from a skull, you can kind of get an idea of where he lives in some cases. Look at these, they got the same sort of teeth, okay? Flat teeth. We've got two herbivores here. Now tell me what's different about his eyes. These go up, these are to the side, right? Those go up, right? These are to the side. Any guesses why what animal would have his eyes looking up? Exactly. Here's another aquatic animal. Here's another aquatic animal. Which way his eyes are pointing up too, right? That's a beaver. Pretty close. See how his eyes are kind of pointed up? So when they're swimming along, they don't need to see what's below or so much to the side. They want to, when they're swimming along, the low of the water, they want to see what's up there. So their eyes are kind of pointing up. All right. Let's see, bring him. Okay. We'll start out with our bobcat. I left, unfortunately, my bobcat version to leave the office on the line. But y'all know what a bobcat looks like? I mean, as far as the fur, he's got a cat-like face. He's got spots, short tail, not that long. They're pretty secretive. They're not unusual, not uncommon in Louisiana. They're primarily 100% carnivores. They eat rats and mice, and rabbits, and deer fawns, bird nests. They catch wild turkeys in the saloon nests. Pillage just about anything they can catch. But we talked about him. They live in a variety of habitats. They're going to be most abundant in those areas that's got a lot of small mammals, a lot of rabbits, a lot of rats and mice. So kind of thick, brushy habitats are where you find those. Let me go to these guys. What's this thing? Fox. What kind of fox? Gray fox. Very good. Is that a guess if it's gray or?
It's really bad.
I think I like the 3 and 4-year-olds better. All right, so I'm gonna hold them all now very carefully. You shouldn't have let on. You should look up very small. All right, we have 2 types of foxes in Louisiana. This is the gray fox, and he's kind of gray. So and it's written on him. So this is the gray fox. Gray foxes tend to live in the woods more. Our other fox is a red fox, but these guys tend to live in forested habitats. They are more carnivorous than omnivorous, but they do eat some non-animal matter. They'll eat some berries and things like that. when they're abundant. But generally, they're carnivores eating small mammals, birds, or nests, things like that. If you're looking at his skull, they're in the dog family, the canids, so they've got the dogs, the canids have really some of the best sense of smell. So when the dog has a good sense of smell, you've got that elongated colostrum or snout, so that's kind of an indicator that he's got a fairly good sense of smell. He's got, his teeth are pretty classical carnivore teeth, canines, sharp teeth here. But he also, if you look back to the molars, he does have some flat molars, which indicates that he do occasionally eat, non-animal. Remember that bobcat didn't have any flat molars like this at all. Now, if you want to tell the difference between a red fox and a gray fox skull, very simple to do. Look at these here. These ridges here are much wider. See how wide they are? They make a U shape on the gray fox. And much narrower right here. This is it on the red fox. You can also, there's a little depression right in here. And it's much deeper. Right below his eyes on the gray fox and using gray fox. You have to go it's not really deep.
So does the red fox have a stronger jaw?
No, not that I know of. I don't know what the purpose of it is. What that is. And this is a gray fox. See how it's got a wider. This is much narrower. This is more shape. I don't know what that serves the purpose of that. What's that?
So maybe this is.
I don't know what that is. Well, this one, this specimen tends to be big. Red fox is maybe a little bigger. But I don't know if the behavior is not different. And then you can tell that there's a little depression here. And this one's pretty shallow. And this is much deeper. This is the gray seal. We're looking at those teeth again. This is got some flat molars that you see kind of in the onboard. This is primarily a carnivore, there really is some non-carnivore. Okay, and here's a red fox. A red fox. Reddish, obviously. Red and gray, the pelts are pretty easy to tell, or to distinguish. Often these will have kind of a white tip tail, this one doesn't. But that's a red fox. Again, these, a little bit of habitat difference. These guys tend to be more in fields and grassy areas and that kind of thing, where the gray fox tends to be in forest habitats. Gray foxes can actually climb trees, not like a cat. They can climb a tree pretty well. Red fox cannot. And I'm guessing, without even reading the back, you guys can guess what this is. Raccoon, right? Okay. The masking on the eyes, kind of the barring, striping on the tail, and black down the back. There's a fair amount of variation in them, but they are pretty distinctive. So, see one of these, that's a raccoon. Now, if you got just a skull, notice here, as compared to the fox, much shorter rostrum. The snout is much shorter. You can kind of visualize, the face of the raccoon. You can kind of see where it's looking over right here. Much shorter rostrum there. And when you get this one, you have several molars are more flattened, which is more typical of the omnivorous animal. So if I'm looking at this, I know it's an omnivorous animal. I know he's got a fairly short snout, rostrum. That's our raccoon. Let's see. Raccoons are very, very common, as most of y'all know, cities, woods, marshes, almost any habitat that we've got in Louisiana, can't do anything that won't support raccoons. From the coastal marshes to the piney wood forest. Raccoons are found just about everywhere. They eat on near anything. They'll eat animal material. They'll eat mast. What's mast? Mast is the fruit and nuts of basically trees. Acorns are mast, hickory nuts are mast. There's something called soft mast, that would be like mayhaws and what other areas. Other types of crab apples, things like that. Mulberries would be soft mast. Things that aren't hard, that's all. Right? Okay, so mast is the fruit from trees, maybe hard, maybe soft. Anyway, raccoons will eat all that. They'll eat crawfish, they'll eat fish, they'll eat carrion, which is what? Carrion. Carrion? Dead meat, dead stuff. Dead stuff. On the side of the road, you see animals been bloated up, it's been sitting there a while, that's carrion. So raccoons are very omnivorous, they'll eat a lot of different things. Another thing about raccoons, we call them habitat generalists. We talked about they could be in a lot of different places. That's an animal that doesn't have really specific habitat requirements. They're very adaptable. Another generalist would be, say, a white-tailed deer. That's a habitat generalist. He doesn't have really specific requirements. Somebody name a habitat, say, specialist, something that needs very specific habitat requirements. What would that be? A what? A what? An alligator? Yeah, it's more specific, obviously, than a raccoon or something. Yeah. I mean, when we talk about these things, they're always on a scale. I mean, you've got a raccoon would be at the bottom. If you had generalists up here and specialists up here, raccoon would be down at the generalist end, and alligator would be toward the top of the specialist because they have to have water and they have to have them in certain type of habitats. If you want to go really look at the very specific, the top of the specialist spectrum, that would be something like a red-cockaded woodpecker. You don't know what that is? You were about to say that?
Yeah, we were talking about
Red-cockaded, anybody doesn't know what it is? Some of y'all don't know. I mean, come on. Surely some of you don't know what a red-cockaded woodpecker is. You don't know what it is?
yeah.
You don't know what it is? Okay, good. It's an endangered species. They're a small woodpecker. They require, the reason they're specialists is they require old-growth pine trees to make a cavity. And not only do they require old-growth pine trees to make a cavity, they have to be in stands that are very open underneath. You don't have a lot of stuff underneath. Places that have been burned, thinned, that sort of thing. So you've got very specific requirements. Now, when you look at it, you will find that most endangered species, where would you expect them? On the specialist end of the spectrum or the generalist end? Specialist, right, because they have very specific requirements. Gopher tortoise is another one. Gopher tortoise occurs in southeast Louisiana. Big turtle has to have, again, open habitat, typically found in open stands of pine in a burn. It's got to have the right soils because it's got to burrow. So again, that's another habitat specialist. So you've got very specific requirements. And that's typically where endangered species tend to be habitat specialists. There are some exceptions, and where there are exceptions, those are usually animals that are endangered because of human action of some sort, either poaching or pollution or something like that. For instance, the black bear, I would say, is, well, he's not a generalist like a raccoon. He's at the lower end of the, remember our scale of generalists down here, somewhere down here at the bottom half. Even though he's a generalist, they've been endangered or threatened. And the reason is because of human, illegal tank poaching, illegal killing, that sort of thing. So it doesn't really have so much to do with its habitat requirements, that's because of human interaction. So, this guy, what is this? Huh? Close. You're very close, but you're not right. What else we do? Huh? Coyote. Coyote. This is a coyote. A lot of color variation in coyotes, but they tend to be lighter colored like this. This one's tail is broken off. This usually got a bushy tail. Looks kind of dog-like. We all know dogs have a good sense of smell, so again, we see that long rostrum here. Tell me a little bit about his diet. What's that? What do you guys think? I'm getting two different answers over there.
He eats a lot of meat. Some.
Right. He's pretty, again, on the scale, he's more carnivorous, but he also, coyotes will eat a lot of non-meat. They'll eat a lot of, people who grow watermelons have problems with coyotes. Coyotes will come in and take chunks out of the watermelon.
That's really weird.
And when you find coyote scat that's been eating watermelon, you know it because it's all red and it's got seeds in it. You know what scat is? All right. Coyotes are specialists or generalists on the scale?
Middle.
Kind of in the middle? Yeah, I'd put them at the lower, more the generalist end. They'll live just about, there's really nowhere in Louisiana like a raccoon that you can't find a coyote, including in the city, in the marsh, in the swamp, in the uplands, bottomland hardwood, coyotes are everywhere. We didn't used to have a lot of coyotes in Louisiana. We used to have red wolves. Red wolves are an endangered species now, they're probably gone from Louisiana. Coyotes have moved in from the western United States over the last 30 years or so. They've really increased and they're very numerous now. We've kind of displaced the red wolf in our ecosystem. They eat, as I said, a lot of different things. They're primarily carnivores, small mammals, rabbits, mice, rats, they eat birds, bird nests, they eat deer fawns, they eat watermelons, they like soft, they like berries, they eat berries in general. I eat just about anything. Carry them, side of the roads, on dead, they'll eat it. So, they tend to, they're carnivorous, but they do have, they will eat a lot of non-meat. Yeah. Somebody tell me what this dude is. Oh gosh, how'd you know that?
His eyes are my favorite.
The only guy around that knew what he just read about, without reading. Alright, look at his eyes. Which way are his eyes pointed? Remember our plotted mammals? See how they're pointed up? See how this guy's eyes are pointed up? Okay. He's swimming along. He doesn't have many enemies because he's kind of a tough guy, but they're still looking up, looking around. What's he eat? Fish. He's primarily a meat eater. That meat is typically in the form of fish. This is a good example of carnassials. See how they break these back tubes? See how they kind of slide together on a pair of scissors? He's kind of cut the fish up. See how he's kind of slide together. Those carnassials. Specialist or generalist? Specialist or generalist? The middle ground? What do you guys think? Huh? Water. Yeah, I mean, they're limited to water, so they're a little bit on the specialist end, I would say. But You find them in rivers, swamps, marshes. So where you have water and you have fish, typically have otters. You don't see them very often, they're kind of secretive, but they're more common than you realize. So this is the river otter. The sea otter, we don't have sea otters. Sea otters are the ones that occur in marine environments on the west coast and that sort of thing. We have a river otter here. Okay. Here's a little guy. What's this one? What? What? Mole? No, it's too big mole. Mole would be no. Used to be a very important fur species for trappers in all New Zealand. Used to be. If you look at it, look at that. Oh, I grabbed the wrong spot. Hey, trick question. Where'd you live? Huh? He lives in the water. A small animal lives in the water. All right, muskrat. Muskrats? Not here as much as they used to be, but we have. This is a muskrat. Muskrats generally live in the marshes, freshwater environments, brackish water environments. And you'll find them up the coast, they're most numerous along the coast. What's his diet? He's 100%. 100% herbivore. He's got these big teeth in the front, but those aren't meat-eating teeth. Those are plant-grabbing teeth. They're gnawing teeth. He's a rodent. So, 100% herbivore. What you feel, you can kind of see why these furs were desired by the fur industry. They're very, very soft. Used to be used to make all kinds of garments and things like that. But they're planting. They eat a lot of plants and that sort of thing. All right, somebody tell me what this guy is. Or was. Huh? What is that? What did you say? I thought you said it. Yeah, possum. We say possum. The real name is Virginia opossum. Well, we say possum. Virginia opossum. If you have to identify on a test, I would write Virginia opossum. Okay? Anyway, you can see his tail is going to be bare. It doesn't have a tail on here because when they harvest it for the fur industry, we got to put any fur on it anymore. So it's a bare tail like a rat. But it's kind of mild, kind of darkish with a lot of white. These long hairs on the fur like this are called the guard hairs. Long white guard hairs. All right. Tell me a couple things about this guy. Tell me what he eats. I got all three covered by this thing.
She's been omnivore.
What's your answer? I'll go with omnivore. He's omnivore. They eat a little bit of everything. They're classified again. They've got the long teeth. They've got the canines, so it's clear they do eat some meat. But they are omnivorous. They don't have the carnassials like we talked about before. They do, they're not well developed. You can see they're kind of flattened out here and all that. So, but they eat, gosh, there's not many things that an opossum won't eat. They'll eat meat, they'll eat carrion, they'll eat berries, they'll eat grubs, they'll dig around the soil and get stuff, so they'll eat darn near anything. Tell me something else about this animal we have not talked about. Tell me something else about him. Huh? He is looking at it. Right, of course. But what else? Tell me something else about him. We should just go with anything else. Would you want to spend a lot of time trying to train a possum to do something? Why not?
Yes.
Huh? That tiny brain, look at that, look where the brain goes. Look how small it is. I mean, compared to another animal roughly the same size. There's our raccoon, and there's our opossum. So, you're not going to train a possum to do much. He's not too swift. So if you see a skull that's a carnivore, got the canines, and he's got the really narrow, small brain case, you know right away that's a Virginia opossum. One of the dumbest animals around. All right, this one. What's this guy? What do you guys say? Beaver, right, beaver. That is a beaver. Very important first species. We all know your history. The trappers came from Europe. They're after beaver hides. North America was being settled. They're after beaver hides. Again, and actually they wanted the northern and western beaver hides were more desirable because animals in the north, it's colder, tend to grow better fur. But this is the southern beaver. But anyway, there's a beaver. A beaver skull is larger than any of the others. You notice it. One thing, I wish I'd brought you all a nutria skull, but the nutria skull is going to look just like this, with one important difference. You see that little hole right there? See that little bitty hole in the beaver? Right there? That little bitty thing? Nerves run through there. On a nutria, that hole is big enough to stick your finger in. Okay? It's called an anterior, no, that's not it. It's a foramen magnum or something. Remember what that is? I don't remember. Anyway, on a nutria, you can put your finger in, it's big. It's going to look like that. You can have big incisors. What beavers eat? Plants. Wood, plants. Flat teeth. They get stuff off of this, they chew it, grind it up with your back teeth. Beavers are unique and they're one of the only animals that can make its own habitat. You think about what a beaver needs. They need aquatic plants, things like that. They build a dam, a lodge. They build a dam which backs up water, floods it, they create their own habitat. You flood an area, you start getting aquatic plants in it, and then creating your own habitat, so they're unique in that. I can't think of any other animal right offhand basically create its own habitat. That's it. But beavers we talk about our scale again. They tend to be specialists mainly because of their requirement for water. They're not extreme specialists. Again, they're probably in the top quarter of our scale or specialist in. Beavers right now are very abundant. There aren't many places with water you can't find some beavers. They would be a real nuisance to landowners and all because they flood forest land and timberland, they kill the trees. So a lot of effort goes into actually beaver control. It wasn't long ago where beavers were almost on the verge of extinction at one time. They were overtrapped for their furs. They made recovery and very abundant. All right. Clean more real quick. What's this guy? I didn't have a nice clean one for him. What was that? Did you hear him? What is that? It was a little different. Side. Look at his blue. say about that? You got a pretty good sense of smell. His eyes are kind of facing, they're kind of to the little forward, but they're generally to the side. So you know he's something that's looking out, watching, don't want to eat. You got, these teeth are a little different than the other ones we've seen. But this is a herbivore. This is a deer, white-tailed deer. This is obviously a female, doesn't have antlers on the but deer again are on our spectrum, our generalist, probably right there with the raccoon, for just about anywhere in Louisiana. Coastal marshes up to anywhere in town. I picked up a dead deer in a subdivision off North Sherwood on Wednesday. So it's amazing where you can find them. But they tend to eat, it's all vegetation, but things like poison ivy, blackberry, and various grasses, a lot of mass. What's that? I do. It's one of the favorite food things. They'll eat blackberries, all the thorns and things, they'll eat it, drop them right down. They eat a lot of mass. What's mass? Acorns, hickory nuts, berries, soft mass, hard mass, all that, pecans. They eat a lot of mass. And again, very abundant in Louisiana. What's this guy? What do you guys think it is? No, it's not a baby dolphin. It's an armadillo. You got it right. No, it's an armadillo. Armadillos are, look at that dude. He can smell pretty well. Look at those little bitty eyes. I can't see very well. You can walk right up to an armadillo. If he doesn't see you, he doesn't see you. You can walk right up to him. If he doesn't smell you, you can walk right up to him. They don't see you at all. They root around the ground. They eat grubs and bugs in the soil. That's why everybody likes them so much. They dig up the long frog beds and all that stuff. And he would be kind of on the general spectrum. Right. I'm guessing by the fur, you don't know what this guy is. What is this? That's a bear, Louisiana black bear. Like I said, as we mentioned in threatened species in Louisiana. What's he eating? What's his diet? Omnivore, you'd be right, 100% right. He's classified as a carnivore, we call him opportunistic omnivore, but basically they're omnivores, the order of carnivore. But you got those flat molars like that. They eat a lot of, they probably actually eat more plant material than they do meat material. Mast is very, in the south, in Louisiana. Now, bear in Alaska might have a different diet because you've got a shorter growing season, so they're more dependent on meat, fish, and that sort of thing. The bears in Louisiana are primarily omnivorous, but they probably eat more plant material than meat. A lot of mast. Acorns are very, very important. Black bears, berries, they'll break open rotten logs and eat grubs out of it. They eat just about anything. Carrion, just about anything. But they are, as I said, a threatened species in Louisiana. They're on the way to recovery. The population is going to increase quite a bit. We're hoping that they may be removed from the threatened species designation within the next year or so. But they live from the coast in the swamps and marshes of St. Mary Parish down low, closer to our coastline, all the way up to the state line. They're pretty much a generalist. You know, they're one of those that's endangered more because of humans than they are because of their habitat requirements. But best populations are probably the wildland hardwoods along the Mississippi River. You've got a lot of wood component, you've got a lot of mass in that sort of thing. Also a lot of agriculture, they'll get cornfields and corn and stuff like that. We talked about the concept of carrying capacity. Y'all remember what that is, of course? Tell me. You're dying to tell me. You're dying to tell me again. You got it all right the first time, and one little piece missing.
People that live in a habitat based on the resources and
It's based on resources, but without damaging habitat or whatever. We're talking about animals, other animals, but anyway. But there's no, that's the biological carrying. That's the biological carrying capacity. There's something called social carrying capacity. And that's something we run into with black bears a lot. That is basically the number of animals in an area that people will tolerate. And that's a problem we have with animals like bears, mountain lions, things like that. We have places in Louisiana that could probably support more bears based on the habitat and the resources out there. There are also people living there, and the people won't tolerate more bears. So that's what we call the social carrying capacity. We could probably have mountain lions in Louisiana. We've got the resources and the habitat to have it. But people in society probably won't tolerate it. So you've got social carrying capacity. So just kind of remember there's a biological carrying capacity and then there's a social carrying capacity, which is also very important. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Okay. Oh, one last thing. This is, I didn't bring my nutria. This is a nutria. Obviously much larger than muskrat. Kind of a lighter colored. The fur tends to be coarser. Now, a lot of times when they process it, the fur industry processes it, they pluck these guard hairs off and got the soft stuff underneath. That is our nutria. One thing, our nutria is native to Louisiana. Where they come from, do they know? Where? Yeah, South America somewhere. Maybe but they come, nutria come from South America. They were introduced to Louisiana in various times, but probably in the 30s. And they escaped, and we used to have a lot more muskrats in there now. Nutria are kind of competed with it. So nutria are very common where muskrats have become more rare. You can find throughout the state, but generally they're going to be in the coastal areas or the wildland hardwood areas of the state. They need water, they're an aquatic mammal. They're herbivores. Remember, if you see a skull, it looks like a beaver, but it's got a big old hole there, you stick your finger through it, that's a nutria. But they're an exotic, kind of an invasive exotic. You all know, think of any other invasive exotics? Well, an exotic animal is something that's not native, right? It comes here either on its own or it's brought here. An invasive one is one that because of its life requirement, its ability to reproduce or whatever, becomes displaces other animals. It takes over and displaces other animals. It could be a plant, it could be an animal. We've got a lot of problems with invasives in Louisiana. You all may talk about the aquatic stuff, but as far as terrestrial invasives, can you all name me a couple of others besides the nutria? What's that? How about feral hogs? You all familiar with feral hogs? Basically pigs. They're running around all over the place. They do an incredible amount of damage. They're very reproductive potential is very high. They've been released into the wild, and they do a lot of damage to farms. They do a lot of damage to forests. They root. If you're not familiar with hogs, they root around the ground. They dig up the ground to get food, to find food. and do a lot of damage, so they're a tremendous problem right now. But that's one. There's some plants like Chinese tallow, y'all heard of the Chinese tallow tree? It's a tree, it's got very bright colors in the fall. It's red, which people like it in New Zealand because most of our native trees don't turn a lot of bright colors. But it was brought in by the, I think, the nursery industry, and anyway, it seems to spread, and it's all over the state now. It's a real problem because it shades out a lot of native plants and things like that. And there's a whole list, many of them, but a lot of time and money is spent trying to counter the damage that invasive exotics cause to our ecosystem. The Chinese tallow is a big problem for our long term. You want any questions? Okay. Well, thank you. One did much better than the three.